holding on to this story. We did our serious show yesterday. You came in so jovial and so happy, and you told me that you were going to tell me something I've never heard before.
I don't know if that's true, but I am excited because I think I do like that the movement to accept all types of bodies is out there, right?
Like alive bodies.
Alive
not corpses,
bodies.
Because technically Dahmer accepted a whole bunch of bodies,
yes,
but he killed them.
He killed them and then and he manipulated them after death and to tuck their penises off, all that type of shit,
And he did a horrible job of being a doctor.
Super creative guy.
Absolutely.
But the thing is that, like, what I love is that in ladies' underwear advertisements, and I look at all of them just to make sure they're equal.
Absolutely.
And I look through every style of ladies' underwear advertisement just to see what's out there. What can you grab at?
Furry ones, lacy ones, ones made out of licorice. By the way,
yes,
in a pinch, it is technically food. And have I gotten stoned and eaten somebody's gag gift to me?
Sure.
Perhaps.
Oh, yeah, those are great. Those special ones that look like fruit roll-ups. Mm-hmm. But it is interesting that they celebrate all different types of female bodies. But if you look at male underwear ads, it's still the same very handsome man.
Yeah, sure, because they're models and people
tight.
want to
It's the body cut.
Yes, because you want to look at that model and say, if I get this pair of Hanes, I'm going to look just like that man.
And you're not.
Well, you're not, but it does make you feel like you could.
Maybe you could I at least held the same underwear as that man.
Absolutely.
But in the
they stuff their packages, by the way.
Whoa.
They do. I've seen the footage.
We're going to get torn apart.
Have you ever seen the way they do a Big Mac in a Big Mac commercial for McDonald's?
They move the burger forward.
It's exactly what they do with the cock and balls and undie ads.
You know, in the mid-1800s, I wanted to celebrate this. Okay. There was a fat movement.
A fat movement?
For men.
Well, that's kind of ironic.
It was the fat man scene.
Okay.
Is what they called it. And it basically, this was during the time period where I guess that men that did not have to go to work, basically they could afford to not work.
Wow.
They decided to spend their time working on their bodies.
In a productive way, like everyone did during the pandemic, when everyone said, now we're going to get in shape, and they bought a bunch of exercise equipment that just became a coat hanger.
Yes. Hey, but this is fun because it was, they started all these fat men groups.
Oh, that's great. It's good to get them together.
Oh, yeah. One was called the New England Fat Men's Club. There was the Jolly Fat Men's Club.
Oh, that's fun.
The United Association of the Heavy Men of New York State, Chris Christie.
Very intriguing. Of course, Chris Christie, one of the fattest of all time. Check out his pictures when he's in that baseball uniform. Speaking of cock and balls, those are desperate.
He could really fill it out.
Yeah, he did.
And then there was the Fat Man's Beneficial Association, and the last one, my favorite one, they were just called the Heavyweights.
Ooh, I love the Heavyweights.
It's
That's
really
fantastic.
Fun. But they said what they would do with, like, again, what would they get together is they'd all hang out, and they would just eat
and breathe heavily.
And I love this one big thing, one of the mottos for the Fat Men's Association of New York City was, we're fat, and we're making the most of it.
Well, that is fantastic. They're definitely taking up the most seats on the subway, as they should. And I'm looking at some of the photos that Henry has here on his website, and I must say, Fat Pride, bring it back in the male form.
These guys, there are some fucking units in this group, man.
There really are.
A New York Times journalist, he wrote about the club's president. Mr. Dolan is huge. He is ponderous. His obesity borders on the infinite. And the most hardened, lean man cannot gaze upon his magnificent proportions without being unconsciously made purer and holier.
Well, this was a great time for fat marketing. Whatever happened to that? I'm actually going to blame Jackie Gleason. He brought a little negativity to the fat man. I'm going to send you to the moon. It seems like the jolly fat guys just wanted to sit there, eat with other fat men. Is it possible they were all having sex with each other?
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
That was the Roly-Poly Institute of Baltimore.
I do love that. It is interesting. Someone with heavyweights, someone with, just straight up large or whatever that may have been.
Oh, yeah.
And then others accepted the word fat. I wonder if there was a feud within the big boy community over the term.
Yeah, I don't know. This is correspondence about the New England Fat Men's Club summer party.
Ooh, also, if I'm going to be a fat man, New England's the place to do it. Lobster and all that sweet,
I don't know.
Sweet, what do they call that? Clam chowder.
Clam chowder. The problem is that all of that shellfish will lead to gout, which is fat man's AIDS.
King's disease.
Yes, besides AIDS.
Yep.
So, according to the New England Fat Men's Club's, a reporter following the New England Fat Men's Club's summer gala, townspeople looked forward to the summer meetings. Children would gather at the railroad station as guests arrived. They enjoyed watching the oversized members walking the streets, exchanging their secret hand clasp and listening for the secret password.
What's the secret hand clasp? It's very sweaty?
It's handing a cheeseburger to the other guy. As told in the history of Newbury, one rainy day, a young man remarked to his friend, "Gee, look at that stomach. Let's get under it and keep out of the rain.
Oh, isn't that sweet? They can use the belly for shelter. The fat man has helped out people since the dawn of time. In no way is this the beginning of the end of the American male. So I am just so happy that these guys were able to get together, touch belly buttons, not be able to shake hands if they do that, and then just say, acceptance. Accepted.
And it's yes, apparently being fat started to decline around the 20s when most of the members of these groups died.
Absolutely.
And then at least for a while, and I love the end of this article, but at least for a while, during the end of the century, it was a fat man's world.
It was a fat man's world. We were born in the wrong time
much
zone, time frame,
Timeline.
is just this little piggy. Now, these pigs are just unbelievable what they've been doing. Hamilton.
Just not a lot of people heroes these days.
No, they're really, honestly.
It's just
You
not.
tell me.
I don't
you have
know.
one?
I know.
Anyone?
Me? I made my own dinner 3 times the last week, which honestly makes me a hero. I've been eating salad.
Okay.
I'm getting back on track diet-wise.
Well, and to all those people who are getting back on track and taking care of themselves, you're also hero of the week.
Wow.
Hero pig credited with saving veteran owner from a New Jersey apartment fire. Now, this pig is 500 pounds. Now, the pig closed a door while he was escaping the fire, which prevented the blaze from spreading. And before you say, oh, you just did it on accident, well, what if he didn't? Because all we know is that this 500-pound pig named Hamilton helped his 30-year-old neighbor, or 30-year-old parent, Gilbert Anaya, escape the New Jersey apartment. Now, I don't know if a 500-pound pig lives in the apartment. That's a lot of space for a piggy to be taken up in an apartment. But the pig closed a door in the garage as the fire intensified, slowing the blaze's spread. And one thing we know about pigs, they understand what it's like to be cooked and crackled. And he said, not today, pig god.
They don't, though. You know what I mean?
They're smart.
They don't have a consciousness that makes them understand that they are also our food.
They do.
They don't, though.
They do.
They don't.
Actually, if you do, there's studies that show pigs know the day they're about to be killed. So do cows, but again, cows don't exist.
We've dumbed
without
them
us.
down. We've dumbed down cows.
But no, pigs are very aware that we eat them constantly.
I don't know.
They are.
That's how we're going to get
Watch
again, side
documentaries.
stories, LP.
I'm telling you.
All these PETA people are going to start
No,
showing
not
up.
the PETA people. That's another grifter scam. I am talking about people who really love animals.
I get it. But guess what? In this innocence you talk of, like last week, right?
Yeah.
All these so-called animal heroes of yours.
Absolutely.
Last week we had a ram convicted of murder, right?
He wasn't. He spent
you
2
fought
years.
me. You fought me.
3 years.
And then I had several listeners who emailed and say, Rams feel nothing. That's what they do. Rams ram. That's what they do. They don't feel anything. Doesn't feel
They
guilt.
don't feel. No.
But
all
they-
animals feel guilt.
No, they don't. They create approximations of guilt to get a response from humans.
I wish you had the same thoughts on AI.
You know what? I wish I did too.
This is according to a U.S. veteran, Navy veteran, who was, again, the owner. He says the fire department said him closing the door bought me 15 to 20 minutes. If he didn't choose to close the door, the fire and the smoke would have spread faster.
They all would have been dead, and both would have become bacon.
But you know what's so funny? News 12 Bronx reported that Hamilton is trained to close doors.
Wow.
So,
See, no, he is a hero. He is a hero.
He is a hero.
But
He
now I'm
did
going
it
to
on
tell.
purpose.
Now I'm going to tell a story about when a pig wasn't a hero. And we're going to go back in time a little bit. But I'm going to talk about the story about how a pig was once sentenced to death for murder as well in
You can't sentence a
1300s.
pig to death.
No, yeah, you can absolutely. Now they're saying that a young pig, was arrested this is in the 14th century. He was arrested for attacking a child's face, which eventually died because of the attack. Right? But the pig was arrested and then taken to prison and then put on trial, where he was put up in
Piggy
a
trial.
thing where they literally did a piggy trial. And this is an excerpt this is a January 9th, 1386.
Can you believe that was a date, huh?
Oh, yes. And this is from the execution of Fela, France. All right. So, because he was sentenced to death
Oh, no.
for his efforts and salary. Now, this was the receipt from the executioner.
Okay.
For his efforts and salary for having dragged and then hanged at the place of justice in Fela a sow of approximately 3 years of age who had eaten the face of the child of Jonelle Macon, who was in his crib and who was approximately 3 months old, in such a way that the said infant died from the injuries, and an additional 10 estournois for a new glove when the hangman performed the said execution. This receipt is given to Reginald Rigaud, Vicomte de Velo. And then they said that he will go and do this. And then what he was supposed to do,
How'd they kill the pig?
they cut up his front legs. He was supposed to be tortured and murdered in the public square, where they put him there. Like, he was supposed to be, his front legs were supposed to be cut up in a cage, and then he was to be put into a man's suit and then hung from the town square. So that's what they did. They put him in a suit, and they hung him in the town square, and they said that he defecated on the spot.
Well, I do believe that would be true. Man, I wish we could kind of bring that back and not have it be pigs. That's a really interesting.
You just want to do public hangings again?
No, I could just see some political figures that belong where that pig was sent.
Yeah.
But anyway,